When I was little, my dad used to tell me, Will, you can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but you cannot pick your friend's nose. This seemed like a reasonably astute observation to me when I was 8, but it seems to be incorrect on a few levels. First of all, you cannot possibly pick your friends, or I would have never ended up with Tiny Cooper. Now, Tiny Cooper is not the world's gayest person, and he's not the world's largest person, but I do believe he's the world's gayest person who is really, 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 really large, and the world's largest person who is really, really, really gay. Michael J. Fox once stated, "One's dignity can be assaulted, vandalized, and even mocked, but it can never be taken away unless it is surrendered." High school is a trying time for anyone's dignity. Quite frankly, high school sucks. Will Grayson's high school experience is nothing short of this, as he watches his best friend's dignity become assaulted. And as Will watches, he himself becomes a perpetrator. Will Grayson, by John Green and David Levithan. Now, Tiny Cooper has been my best friend since 5th grade, except for all last semester when he was busy discovering the sheer scope of his own gayness, and I was out trying to have an actual, honest-to-God group of friends who ended up never speaking to me again due to 2 slight transgressions. Number 1. After the school board member got all upset about gays being in the locker room, I defended Tiny's right to be both gigantic and gay. I wrote a letter to the school newspaper and stupidly signed it. Number 2. This guy in the group of friends named Clint was talking about the letter at lunch, and in the process of talking about it, he called me a pansy, and I didn't know what that was, so I was like, what do you mean? And then he called me a pansy again, at which point I told Clint to screw off and took my tray and left the table. Which I guess technically means I left the group of friends, but honestly it felt the other way around. So, a few weeks after we get back from Christmas break our junior year, I'm sitting in my assigned seat in pre-cal when Tiny waltzes in wearing his football jersey tucked into his chinos, even though football season is long over. Every day, Tiny miraculously manages to wedge himself into the chair desk beside me, and every day, I am amazed that he can do it. So Tiny walks in, squeezes himself into the desk, and then he leans over and whispers really loudly because secretly he wants everyone to hear him, "I'm in love!" I roll my eyes because Tiny literally falls in love every waking moment of the day with some poor new boy, and they all look the same. Skinny, sweaty, tan, the last an abomination. Because all February tans in Chicago are fake. And boys who fake tan, I don't care if you're gay or not, are ridiculous. "You're so cynical," Tiny says, waving his hand at me. And Tiny thinks that I'm incapable of what humans call emotion because I haven't cried since my 7th birthday when I watched All Dogs Go to Heaven for the first time. I guess I should have known by the title it wouldn't end so merrily. Anyways, I don't really understand crying, and I think crying is completely avoidable if you follow 2 simple rules. 1, don't care too much, and 2, shut up. Anything bad that has ever happened to me has stemmed from a failure to follow one of these 2 rules. I know love is real because I feel it. Apparently classes started without our knowing because Mr. Applebaum, who is ostensibly teaching us pre-calculus but really teaching us that pain and suffering must be endured, looks down and says, "You feel what, Tiny?" "I feel love! I feel love!" And everyone in the class either turns to laugh or clap. And because I am his best and only friend, they're laughing at me too. You see, this is precisely why I would never choose Tiny Cooper as my best friend. He draws too much attention to himself, and he has this inability to follow either of my 2 rules, so he walks around caring about everything and ceaselessly talking, and then he's baffled when the world craps on him. And due to sheer proximity, the world craps on me too. After class, I'm staring into my locker when Tiny walks up with his gay straight alliance friends. "Apparently everyone thinks I profess my love for you in pre-cal." "Me in love with Will Grayson? Isn't that the silliest thing you've ever heard?" Great. "Tiny, can we quell the rumors of our love? It hurts my chances with the chicas." "Calling them the chicas doesn't help, Will." Then Tiny nods. Then Tiny Cooper steps into the middle of the hallway, does a balletic pirouette, and begins to shout, "Dear world! I am not hot for Will Grayson, but world, there's something you need to know about Will Grayson. I can't live without him." Everyone in the hallway whistles and claps as I stick my head down and continue walking to English. It's a long walk and it only gets longer. You see, caring works for Tiny. Talking works for Tiny, but it doesn't work for me. Not caring works. Shutting up works. So I don't walk and I don't talk and I just keep going and soon it's over. You see, the last time that I cared about anything was when I wrote that stupid letter to the school newspaper about Tiny and his right to be in the locker room. I don't regret writing the letter in the least, but I regret signing it, because signing it was a clear violation of my rule, shut up, and look where it got me. Alone on a Thursday afternoon, staring down at my black Chuck Taylors.